Now let me go to the next section, the next part, and that comes from Nexus, and it's in the classical category, and it's the 70s vinyl strings 2. Now, for you producers out there, you know, whether you're a novice or you've been at it for a while, you're gonna get slack. You're gonna get your balls busted for using presets. I mean, that's just how it is. And you know, when it happens to me, I say, you know, whatever, I don't care. You know, presets, they're there for a reason. They sound good. Somebody already got paid to you know, create these sounds for you. If you feel like, you know, creating your own sounds, that's great too. That's cool too. I don't knock that. But don't feel discouraged to use presets just because of what people are gonna say. Because honestly, when it comes down to it, the label doesn't care. You know, the artist doesn't care. All they care about is that the record sounds good. So if you can do that with presets, cool. If you feel that you can and you gotta prove yourself by creating your own sounds, then more power to you. But anyway, getting back to this. That patch is 70s vinyl strings 2, and this is what that sounds like. Let me solo that. So basically, I picked that patch just to give the intro some body. Okay, obviously the strings from Philharmonic sound a little bit more natural, but this just adds some more depth. And the notes that it's playing, they're just single notes, and it's actually, I'm playing the root note of the chord progression that I got going. So if you play these together, that's what you get. Now the next thing I got is from Hypersonic 2, and it's a piano patch called Atmos Piano. Really dope patch. And let me solo that. So for this, all I really did was the same chords that I'm playing, I just broke them up and I arpeggiated them. Okay? And that's what gives me that feel. That's why it really helps to know, to understand chords and chord progressions and how all that works. And then the final patch that I have on the intro is actually a patch that's called Undertaker 1, and you find it in the Fantasy and Dream category of Nexus. And I love this patch because it's a real airy guitar lead kind of patch, and it's real dope. It just adds more texture to the sound. So let me play that. I'm gonna play that along with the piano and the low strings from Nexus. Cool. So zooming in on here, you'll notice that I got this little extra note down here. See this little note right here? Okay, that's not a mistake. I need that note there, because what that note actually does is that it creates kind of like a leading tone into this note, and it just gives this patch a little bit more realism. Makes it sound like it almost is an actual guitar. So that's just a neat little trick that I learned there. Let me zoom out. Bear with me, guys. I'm recording this myself. I don't have a videographer. All right, so that creates the intro. So let me play the entire intro now. Cool. So that was the intro. Now we can move on to the meat and potatoes. Obviously the song starts off with the verse. Now the way I did this verse, on pattern 1, I've got my drums for the verse. So let me pull those up. Now the drums that I did, real simple drums. Okay, I do my beats in double time, and I do that for a reason. In double time gives you a little bit more detail on a step sequencer, so that you can do stuff that's a little bit more intricate, you know, drum rolls and things like that. Now I wouldn't recommend it for people who don't have their computers up to date, because it does, you know, having your tracks in double time does take up a little bit more system resources. So if you've got your computer up to date and it's beefed up, then you know that it doesn't hurt to do stuff in double time. So the tempo on this is 144. Okay, and these are the drums for the verse. Okay, so that's over here on pattern 1. Then on pattern 2, I've got the melodies for the verse. Now I kept it really simple because her vocal is it's not necessarily a very strong vocal, but it definitely needs to not be cluttered. You know, it needs to stand out. When you hear the acapella, you'll understand what I mean. So I kept that in mind when producing this record. You know, I didn't want to just come in and start adding a whole bunch of stuff. So the only thing I've got in the very beginning of this verse is I've got the drums, and I've got my strings patch from Nexus, that 70 strings, and I've got the Undertaker patch from Nexus as well, that guitar sounding patch. This is what that sounds like. Cool. So as you can see on the strings patch, all I did was I played block chords. You know, I played block chords and I got a little bit of delay on them just to give them a little bit more ambience, and they sound good. Now if you notice, on the second block chord, the low note, I've got it come in early, and I did that for a reason, because it gives those strings a little bit more realism. Hear it again. See, you hear that? That's what I wanted. That's the effect that I wanted. And then the Undertaker patch just acts as a ornamentation, you know, just to give it some more texture. Cool. So that's how I have this the beginning of the verse. Now the next part of the verse, that's when I decided to build it up a little bit. And if you notice, I've got pattern 5 added on the playlist, and I've also got pattern 11 at the end of it. Now pattern 11 is just a variation on pattern 1. In other words, on pattern 11, what I've got is a little conga roll just to add some variation. Let me play that for you guys. You hear that? And I did that with the congas, with this conga sound right here. So that comes in at the end, leading into the next section of the verse over here. Now on pattern 5, what I added was the piano from Hypersonic 2, the Atmos piano, and that sounds like this. Cool.